You clicked on this video because you saw the thumbnail and the title, and now you're asking yourself, what's the one missing skill set that separates the pros and is constantly overlooked by IT professionals trying to break into cybersecurity? I get it. You're an IT guy or someone grinding to make the jump to cyber. You're doing hands-on labs, certifications, TryHackMe, Hack the Box. You're knee-deep in the projects. That's all good. But there's one thing almost everyone misses. The interview part. Let me tell you something that might sting a little bit. You could have all the certifications, all the knowledge, the perfect lab setup, but if you cannot perform in the interview process, you're not getting the job. So yeah, this video is not going to go viral. I'm not talking about some new shiny tool or the next certification dopamine hit. But if you're someone who's already done the labs, passed the certifications, put in the hours, and you still feel stuck in this loop of learning and getting rejected all the time, this video is for you. Make sure to stick around to the end because I'm going to give you free resources you can download with real behavioral questions and answers using STAR method. For those of you who are new here, my name is Sohail Arshadi. I'm a cybersecurity consultant with 10 years of experience in the IT industry. Started at help desk, became a network engineer, then made the jump into cybersecurity. I've done hundreds of interviews on both sides of the table. And here's the truth no one tells you. Interviewing is a skill, like sales, like marketing, like hacking. You don't get good by reading about it. You get good by doing it, failing and refining. So everything I'm about to share with you guys in this video, they're all battle tested, no fluff, no theory. So let's break it down. When it comes to cybersecurity interviews, there are two sides. Technical, behavioral. Depending on the company, the weight may shift. Some go heavy on technical side, others care more about cultural fit and communication. And let me be real, the real behavioral side is way harder to train for. You can't teach someone Splunk, you can't teach them Nmap or Wireshark, but you cannot easily teach how to talk to people, how to build rapport, how to show empathy, how to work under pressure. That stuff takes real self-awareness and practice. So let's talk about the technical side first, alright? Here's the hard truth. If you're not technically solid, nothing I say here will save you. You have to review your notes, practice explaining concepts, and study the job description like it's your enemy. You have to be good at your technical stuff. That's your blueprint. The technical questions you'll get in an interview, they're not random. They come from the job description. And here's the tip. Don't let the interviewer control the narrative. What do I mean by that? If your resume is bland and generic, they'll start asking some random question from you. Like what's a VLAN, TCP IP, incident response, all that stuff. That's alright. But in that case, you're already losing the battle. Instead, you have to put the standout projects and results on your resume. That way you guide the interview because they're going to look at your resume and they're going to ask questions around the juiciest stuff that you have done on your resume. And when they do that, you have the control now. You're going to use the STAR method to answer the questions, even for technical questions. Don't try to explain TCP like a textbook. Say something like, we were troubleshooting dropped packets on a client VPN. I suspected issues with TCP retransmission. I used Wireshark to confirm a handshake failure. After isolating the issue, we updated the MTU settings and that resolved it. Guys, you saw what happened? I used STAR method in action. But let's go deeper now. Let's talk about behavioral questions. This is where people blow it up. You could be the best cybersecurity professional packet analyst in your team, but if you show up to the interview stiff, nervous, avoiding eye contact, unable to connect as a human, you're done. Now, let's actually explore the behavioral question side of things. What are they looking for really? With behavioral questions, the interviewer is trying to understand how you react, how you behave in real situations. They're thinking, how does this guy handle pressure? If there's a conflict on the team, does he escalate, shut down, or solve it? If his manager says something harsh, does he flip or stay composed. When the pressure is on, like hundreds of thousands of logs, alerts, or potential threats, is he stable or does he fall apart? That's what they're digging for. Your patterns, your reactions, your character. And here's what most people screw up. They don't even listen properly. They get asked a question and they ramble. They talk about their personal stuff. They go into some random story about their old job or their personal life or their hobbies. It has nothing to do with the question. So here's the rule. Listen carefully. Figure out what they're actually testing. Then deliver a laser focused answer that shows them exactly what they want to hear. For example, if they're asking about teamwork and the question is, tell me about a time you had a conflict with a colleague. Don't go on tangent about how you like helping people or how you're easygoing. They're not testing for that. They're asking, can this person resolve conflict in a professional way? Stay on the message. Let me actually walk you through some common behavioral questions and how to hit them with the STAR method, okay? One of the most questions of all time. Tell me about yourself. So I have the template here for you guys to use as well if you wanted to. I'm going to share this document with you guys, so don't worry about it. But if someone asks me that question, I would go and answer this in this way. Let's say I have 10 years of experience in the IT industry with a background starting in help desk, networking, sysadmin, could be anything. Now I'm talking about my authority, my experience in the field, okay? I've earned certifications like this and that and completed hands-on training with Splunk. You're talking about the tools, the systems that is mentioned in the job description. You have to talk their language. You have to say it in a way so when they hear it, they say, oh, okay, this is exactly what we're looking for. He has experience with Bioshock, all that sort of stuff. Then again, I would say over the last few years, I worked on, let's say, we can talk about projects. If it was me, I would say I worked briefly on Microsoft Sentinel, CrowdStrike EDR platform, this firewall and that firewall, like security engineering projects. So this is the template actually. Over the last few years, I worked on, let's say, securing Windows and Linux servers, managing firewalls, responding to phishing incidents, analyzing logs. I've used tools like Microsoft Sentinel, CrowdStrike EDR tool, and ticketing system like Jira. So you see, this part, you have to answer the question based on the job description. Okay, this is very important. You can actually add this after that as well. What drives me is solving real-world problems like identifying misconfiguration that could lead to breaches or responding quickly when alerts show suspicious behavior. This is another part where you can sell yourself, like why should they hire you? Again, you need to do your study on the job description on the company and customize your answer based on those kind of things, okay? And you can add this as well. Now I'm looking to bring that same mindset and experience into a dedicated cybersecurity role where I can keep growing and contribute from day one. So here you're telling them that you're someone that they can rely on. You're there, your mindset is good, you're going to dedicate your time there to make sure that the company is secure, it's growing, and you're contributing from day one. You're not going to go there and waste your time with training and things like that. You're ready to do the job, okay? I have over 10 years of experience in the IT industry. I started at help desk, moved into networking, and eventually made my way into cybersecurity. Along the way, I earned certifications like CCNA, CCNP, FortiGate, all that sort of stuff, and built a real-world project focused on log analysis, incident response, and threat detection. I worked with tools like Splunk, Fortinet, Wireshark, and Elastic. And I've secured environments across government and enterprise, especially on the defensive side. What sets me apart is I've actually done the work, not just studied it. I know how to troubleshoot real incidents, write clean reports, and explain security issues in plain English. That's why I'm confident and I can bring value to this role. You see, this was taken from a job description. They were looking for someone who could explain stuff in an easy way. I mentioned that. It was mentioned in the job description that you should be able to write good reports. I've talked about that. And the other things that were mentioned in the job description. I hope, guys, that makes sense. This is how you should answer this type of questions, okay? Now, let's actually go to the next one. Tell me about the time you worked under pressure. Here's a real one from my experience. So, I'm going to use a STAR method with this question. Situation, task, action, and result. So, what was the situation? What was my task there? What I was doing there? So let's say if I was working at a company as a security analyst, that's the situation. And my task was to respond to alerts, do incident response and triage. What action did I took in that situation? And as a result of my action, what happened? What was the result? So let's actually go with this one. You worked under pressure. You need to listen carefully to the question. Tell me about the time when you worked under pressure. We're talking about managing pressure here, right? Let's say this one. I was working with a government agency in Australia. One day, a critical F5 load balancer went offline due to a power outage. Everything was down, email, web services, internal portals, everything. My task was to restore connectivity ASAP while updating stakeholders and working with third-party vendors. I stayed calm, jumped on the console via out-of-band management portal, diagnosed the power fault, got temporary power rerouted, and restored the config backup. Meanwhile, I communicated status updates every 10 minutes. Like, guys, tell me, when you hear this from me, what do you get? Like, it's calmness, being professional, not being stressed at all that sort of stuff. Services were restored within 45 minutes. The incident report I wrote ended up getting adopted as a template for future critical outages. Now imagine you walk an interview through that. Game over. Some of you guys, I've heard it all the time. You ramble, you talk about things that are not relevant to the question. It's all over the place. It doesn't have a process, a step-by-step process. So each time you hear these type of questions, guys, situation, task, action, and the result. So that was the situation I was in. My task was there to do that. I did that thing that resulted in that outcome. Very easy. But again, in order for you to do it properly, you need to practice. You need to say it out loud multiple times in front of the mirror to yourself, or practice it with your partner or a friend or a family member. You need to do practice, or pay someone else to do mock interviews with, okay? You have to do it. If you don't talk, if you don't say it out loud, you're not going to get good at it. Let's go with the next question. Tell me about a time you had to confront a boss or team member. So you see, with this question, they're asking about conflict management within the team. How do you deal with people who don't agree with you in the same team? Very good question. And here's how we answer this question. A senior engineer was pushing a firewall rule change during production. I respectfully challenged the timing, explained the risk, and showed him logs from a similar change that caused downtime a few months back from going live. Even though I was the least experienced in the room, I respectfully challenged the timing, explained the risk, and showed him logs from a similar change that caused downtime a few months back. This was the result. We postponed the change to the weekend during the change window, execute that change smoothly, and that person, the senior person, later thanked me for catching it, for telling him. Again, notice a pattern? You're not just answering questions in a generic way. You're demonstrating composure, leadership, and technical awareness without saying I'm a leader. So that is how you attack behavioral questions using the STAR method. Stay focused, speak from real stories, and listen. And listen, guys, if you want a cheat sheet for these kind of questions, I've got you covered there. I've linked a PDF you can download with sample behavioral questions plus STAR-based answers you can study or model your own from. No fluff, no AI generated answers, just real ones that work for real people in interviews, okay? So guys, make sure to like my video, subscribe to my channel, and share it with your friends or someone else who needs to watch this video. See you in the next one.